Hostiaf was the king of a vast country and one of the wealthiest and most powerful monarchs on earth. Despite this, he was such a good, magnanimous, and just ruler that he seemed more like a father than a king. Hostiaf had a son, Julian, who was as good as he was. One day, while hunting, the king, animated and satisfied, ventured into a thicket to catch a bird he had killed. However, the thorns were so many that the poor king got pricked by them and blinded in both eyes. The king and the prince returned home, very sad due to the misfortune that had just occurred. The people, who loved their sovereign, went into mourning upon hearing of the tragedy. In all the churches, chapels, and private oratories, many promises were made, in hopes that the good king would regain his sight. One day, Prince Julian left home, telling his father that he was going to seek a remedy to cure his blindness. Leaving the city, he entered a very large forest, and, feeling quite tired, he sat on a stone and cried. Then a golden beetle began to fly around him, and asked, "Prince Julian, why do you cry? Has some misfortune befallen you?" "I cry," said the prince, "because my father is blind. I am searching for a remedy for his blindness, but I have not yet found one. I have been so good and now I am hurt in what I hold dearest in this world. What should I do?" "Continue to be good, and someone will protect you," replied the beautiful insect. Julian stood up from where he was sitting and headed towards a city at the end of the forest. Upon arriving, he saw some men beating a corpse with a stick. When he inquired about the meaning of this, they replied that the man was being beaten even after death because he had left debts, and the custom of the land was to treat debtors this way. The young man felt sorry for the deceased, paid his debts, and had him buried. When the men left, the prince heard a buzzing near him and saw the golden beetle, who said to him, "I have been following you since you left the palace. I knew you were good, and now I am even more certain with the action you just took, burying that poor man. As a reward, I will teach you the remedy that will cure the blindness of your father, the king. Go to the kingdom of the parrots. Enter there at midnight. Ignore the beautiful parrots, and look for the ugliest and oldest one, which is in a wooden cage, and bring it back. Then draw its blood and use it to wet your father's eyes, which will restore his sight." The prince walked a long way until he reached the kingdom of the parrots. As soon as midnight struck, he entered. He was dazzled by what he saw. Rich cages made of gold, diamonds, and precious stones that dazzled the eyes. Parrots of all colors, each more beautiful than the other. He caught the parrot in the most beautiful cage he could find, leaving behind an old and sad parrot in a rotten, rusty cage in a corner. As the young man was leaving, the parrot let out a scream. The guards woke up, chased him, and captured him. The young man was brought before the king of the parrots, who asked what he wanted with that bird taken from his kingdom. The poor boy told the story of his father, and the king, feeling sorry for him, said he would give him the parrot if he brought him a sword from the kingdom of the swords. The young man accepted the proposal. He was very sad, and a little further on, he met the same beetle, who said to him, "Why are you so sad, Prince Julian?" The boy told him what had happened in the kingdom of the parrots. "I told you. You went for the beautiful parrot and left the old and ugly one. This misfortune has befallen you. But there is still a remedy. Go to the kingdom of the swords. There you will see many rich, beautiful, dazzling. Do not worry about those. Take the ugliest, oldest, and most rusted one that exists there, in a corner." The boy set out for the kingdom of the swords. As soon as he arrived, he was amazed. He saw swords made of gold, silver, and diamonds. Without considering what he was doing, he took the most beautiful one, not remembering the beetle's advice. As he was leaving, the sword made a loud crack, waking up the guards, who then captured him and took him to the king of the swords. Julian told the story of his father, and the king, feeling sorry for him, promised to give him the sword if he brought back a horse from the kingdom of the horses. The prince left, regretting not having followed the beetle's advice twice. When it appeared to him once more, "Prince Julian, I know why you are so sad. You did not want to heed my advice again. Go to the kingdom of the horses, and bring back the ugliest, oldest, and thinnest one. Do not worry about the beautiful, the fat, and the well-harnessed ones. Look for the very thin one in a corner." When the prince entered the kingdom of the horses at midnight, he was amazed, seeing the most beautiful purebred horses that existed in the whole world. And he said to himself, "Well, shall I really take that horse? So thin that it won't even support me on the journey? Better this one here, which is strong." And he took the most beautiful of all, a completely black horse, with golden mane and tail, and diamond-studded harnesses. Julian had not yet left, when the horse neighed so loudly that all the soldiers got up and captured him. This time the young man thought he was doomed, because the soldiers said he was going to die. He asked to go before the king of the horses, to whom he told his sad story. The king, feeling sorry for him, said he would give him the horse if he would kidnap the daughter of the neighboring king. The young man accepted the proposal but asked for a good horse to succeed in such a dangerous task. They gave him a very good animal, which ran as fast as the wind. On the road, he met the beetle again, who said to him, "Why are you so sad, prince?" The prince told him everything that had happened in the kingdom of the horses. Unable to contain himself any longer, the beetle spoke. "Prince Julian, I am the soul of the man you buried and whose debts you paid. I have been protecting you since you left your father's palace. You have not wanted to follow my advice. But listen to what I am going to tell you, because this is the last time I will appear to you. Mount this horse. Enter the neighboring king's palace at midnight. Put his daughter on the saddle with you. Loosen the reins of your horse, and flee quickly. Your horse runs like the wind, so there is no fear of being caught. But be careful not to look back. Pass through the kingdom of the horses to get your horse. Head straight home, and do not listen to anyone. Always follow the royal road. Do not look for shortcuts. Go quickly, for your father is dying. The prince did everything the enchanted beetle had told him. However, before he reached the kingdom's lands, he met his brothers, who had come to seek news of him. When they saw him with such a beautiful princess and such rich objects, they began to advise him that he should take a shortcut, because, besides being closer, it would avoid the bandits who roamed the road in groups. Julian believed them, and, having dismounted to drink water from a fountain, the two threw him into the depths of a cave. Then the wicked brothers took everything that belonged to Julian and marched towards their father's palace. Believing him to be dead, they entered with all the prince's wealth. However, the girl remained mute. The parrot sat, with its head under its wing. The sword began to rust, and the horse grew thinner and thinner. As the prince was about to die in the cave, the beetle appeared to him once again and saved him from death, pulling him out of there. He returned home, and as soon as he set foot on the staircase, the girl began to speak. The parrot flew to his shoulder. The horse neighed loudly and began to gain weight, and the sword shone like a diamond. Upon entering, he took some blood from the parrot and applied it to his old father's eyes, who immediately regained his sight. The brothers, terrified by the appearance of the youngest one, whom they believed to be dead, threw themselves from the top of the palace tower onto the pavement, dying instantly. Prince Julian married the beautiful princess he had brought back, and later, upon his father's death, he became king, always beloved and blessed by his people. The end.